Hello there. Before we get started, I want to offer a slight disclaimer that this video is mainly geared towards baby bats. So if you're a veteran to the goth scene, I'll be saying things that probably sound very obvious to you. If you disagree with something that I say, or if you see a baby bat asking a question in the comments section, please be kind, please be polite, and answer the question as kindly as you possibly can. Remember that all of us started somewhere, and I'm sure not everyone was nice to you when you started in the goth scene, so let's try to make this a welcoming place for the people in the comments. Lately, I've seen ads for Mariluna all over all of my social media, which I love, obviously, and I hope to go there one day. And it got me thinking about something. Generally, when you see Mariluna, Wave Gothic Treffen, any of the large goth festivals, it's primarily a music festival, even though there are vendors there. And there are a lot of bands that play at these festivals. And you might be wondering, well, since it's mainly a goth festival, are all of the bands goth? And the answer is no, they're not. And I understand that it's probably very confusing trying to discern which bands at a music festival are and which ones are not, and what makes them goth and what doesn't make them goth. I know it can be a lot to take in. So I'm kind of hoping that I can shed some light on it and make it a little less confusing for you. I'm sure many of you are already aware of this, but I'm going to put it out there into the universe anyway. A goth band is primarily a band that emerged after the punk music revolution, so it is considered a post-punk genre of music. It is a music genre first and foremost, and a clothing style secondly. For the most part, if you're trying to figure out what bands are technically considered goth, the easiest way for you to go about finding them is by going on the internet and searching goth rock bands Batcave. Pretty much all of them played in the Batcave, or were played in the Batcave, because that was basically where the goth move started in the first place. And most of these bands emerged in the late 70s and early 80s, and some of them continued into the 90s, but a lot of their popularity kind of stopped after that, unfortunately, because the scene got a little bit smaller. Now, you may be wondering, now I've told you how many decades old the goth scene is, well, a lot of those goth bands that were played in the Batcave are probably not around. Maybe the band members have died, maybe the bands have split up, so how can you have a goth music festival anymore? Well, there are still some bands that have stayed together or gotten new members and kept the band going since the early days of the goth movement, and they do attend these festivals, but obviously there's not as many of them now as there were then, so there are a lot of dark wave musicians at goth music festivals. Not all goths love dark wave music, but many goths do. It's very, very similar to goth music, but it's not exactly the same. It emerged in a similar time, around the 70s and 80s. It has that dark tone to it, but the primary difference is the way the lyrics are written. Goth music, just like the goth lifestyle itself, primarily deals with just finding the beauty in dark things, things that people would not normally consider beautiful. And the sound that most dark wave bands prefer is very melancholy. Rather than finding beauty and positivity in things like death and darkness, it focuses more on the sorrowful aspects of life. It sounds a little bit bleak, not depressing, just a little bit sad. The lyrics are very much like romantic poetry, and they are full of longing. So to wrap this video up, if you're confused about the difference between goth music and dark wave music, the two easiest ways to figure out which is which is to look up what bands played at the Batcave and pretty much assume that's a goth band, or take a look at the lyrics of the songs the band performs. Typically, if it's just beauty and darkness, it's goth. If it's melancholy, it's dark wave. I hope that this helped some of you who might have been a little bit confused prior to viewing this video. And as always, do something that makes you happy today, no matter what anyone thinks of it, and I'll see you all very soon.